Marathon Me does not exist. It is a creative dramatization of the inner minds of two young men expressed exclusively for this podcast. The characters fictional, conversation hypothetical, and anecdotes acquired from real events but fabricated accounts of those which are told. But together, two authentic representations of the truth surrounding the consumption of cinema is portrayed. Please bear witness to Marathon Me's deconstruction of the tale that is Asteroid City.
Gotta be fucking kidding.
Here's the first movie.
Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Peel that pig and slice him thick.
The body count is always bigger.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
And the fucking trees walked in those movies.
Hi, doggy.
What a story, Mark.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled.
It's just like your opinion, man.
Life moves pretty fast.
If you want your sequel to become a franchise.
37 dicks.
In a row?
I'm your number one fan.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Marathon Me with your host, Kane.
And Rhys. And we're here doing another Marathon Me update of a series that is long in the past. We're updating our Wes Anderson marathon, which feels like a freaking eternity ago, right?
Oh,
does this feel like a long time for you?
No, it definitely does. Because, French Dispatch, they came out, late 2021, right?
That came out late 2021. Oh, no. Early 2021 for us, I think. Because that was another weird one that, the release date was different for us in Australia compared to a lot of other places.
Yeah, because, it was, open, several months previous to when we saw it in, what was it, Serbia or some shit? Some Eastern European country got to see it before us.
But even same thing for this film that we're talking about today, Asteroid City.
True.
It's the 11th feature film from Wes, and following French Dispatch, I was scared. But what was upsetting was that we couldn't even explore what we thought about this movie yet, because this legitimately came out in the UK, I'm pretty sure, 2 months before we got it.
No, it did, and it's been on and people have been reviewing it on Letterboxd, for the last 2 months, and I'm like, when the fuck is it coming out? I was so frustrated.
In Australia, it came out on the 10th of August, so this is it's only 2 days now that we're recording this after the release date for it. But, man, my freaking, my best friend in Sydney, Benny, he was backpacking through Australia from the UK, and he had to return recently, which was very upsetting. But he returned I think it was 2 months ago, or close to 2 months ago, and he, on the weekend that he got back, watched Asteroid City and was telling me about it, and I was like, dude, this is making me upset. I'm upset that you're not here, and I'm also upset that you're able to watch this film and I can't.
Oh, I can imagine the pain, man. I was in pain watching this movie because this is similar to Scream 6. This is the first new Wes Anderson entry that we aren't able to watch together, you know?
It's similar to Scream 6. This is the new Wes Anderson entry.
Well, no, because with
Scream 6 is a Wes Anderson film?
No, because with Scream 6, that was the first update to one of our series that we've covered where we weren't able to watch it together, you know what I mean? Because we did Scream 5 together, but we weren't able to do Scream 6 since you're in Sydney.
Yes, totally, man. I agree, and it was upsetting to see this by myself. But I do have to say though that there was the Red Wiggle Murray, the OG Red Wiggle Murray was in my cinema.
What the hell was that? You texted me that, and I'm just like, what the fuck?
So I was not alone because Murray was a few seats down. But no, I would have so much. I would have loved for you to be there, and it was unfortunate because you were in Sydney. You left Sydney 2 days before the release of this film.
I know. There was part of me that wanted to stay a bit extra in Sydney, but because I didn't want to take too many more days off of work, I'm like, no, I got to go home and all that. Hey, I managed to at least catch Oppenheimer in Sydney. That was something at least. It wasn't Asteroid City, but I still managed to catch a movie while up there.
Yeah, exactly. But it's okay because there's a lot of mystery around this recording because I think that Kane probably already knows the gist of what I think about this film, but I have no idea what Kane thinks of Asteroid City. And
okay.
And but before we get into that, I just want to say that before getting into this, I was quite sort of afraid for this new Wes Anderson entry, coming off of French Dispatch, which we both are very, like, we weren't very subtle about that. We weren't the biggest fans of it. And because, like, it being, I think, both of our least favorite Wes Anderson film, right?
No, I think Bottle Rocket for me is still my least favorite.
Oh, okay. For me, this is...
But it's pretty down there, though.
French Dispatch, for me, definitely my bottom of the rung. And it was scaring me, Asteroid City, because it had the same recipe of an overwhelmingly large cast of characters, as well as, like, it really was selling the fact that it was, like, more Wes Anderson than you've ever seen before. Like, of him just putting everything out there, and the whole thing being marketed as, this is a Wes Anderson... Like, you're not going to see a movie. You're going to see a Wes Anderson movie.
Well, yeah, I had the same concerns and all. That's why I tried to avoid, like, any marketing or trailers and all that, because I just knew it would make me less and less excited to watch this movie. So I would just try to stay away from it. Like, obviously, I couldn't skip the trailers when, like, watching, like, Oppenheimer, because they played a trailer beforehand. But, like... I had the similar fears where I'm like, oh dear, because like you know my kind of thoughts and all that. I'm not the biggest fan of some of his later work because it feels a bit too much. You know what I mean? Too much Wes Anderson compared to his earlier stuff. Yep,
yeah, totally. I definitely am more of a early Wes Anderson fan because of his, like, I think that certain directors can they can almost flourish better when they're given a little bit of limitations and they have to work in their limitations, and because of the brand that Wes has now, it really is like he has ultimate freedom, and because of that you get some pretty experimental out there stuff. And like I was very afraid, because one of our biggest critiques of what French Dispatch, right, was that there were too many characters, too many things happening, that it didn't feel nearly as clean as any of his others, right?
Yeah, definitely. Especially, it doesn't help that it's like an anthology film as well, so you're definitely not going to be able to, like, the second you start latching onto a character in story A, it concludes, and then boom, story B, story C. It was very hard to, like, really just, like, get invested in the full film as a whole, because it's really just 3 mini movies in one.
Yeah, definitely. I without a doubt, agree with you there. But... I just wanted to also say that this is a spoiler warning, a big old spoiler warning for anyone that has not seen the film yet. We're going to get pretty descriptive, and if you don't want any spoilers for this film and have not seen it yet, please leave now. But before we unpack this one, Asteroid City sees world-changing events spectacularly disrupt the itinerary of a junior stargazer space cadet convention in an American desert town circa 1955. And here is a little bit of that trailer.
What do those pulses indicate?
What? Oh, the beeps and blips? We don't know.
Some of our information about outer space may no longer be completely accurate. Anyway, there's still only 9 planets in the solar system as far as we know, Billy?
Except now there's an alien.
What's happening now?
I don't know.
I don't like the way that guy looked at us. The alien.
How did he look?
Like we're doomed.
Maybe we are.
I've just informed the president.
How long can they keep us in Asteroid City, legally?
The world will never be the same.
That's an alien doing jumping jacks. That's an alien in a top hat.
What's out there? The meaning of life. Maybe there is one.
Are you married?
I'm a widower, but don't tell my kids.
You're saying her mother died 3 weeks ago?
Let's say she's in heaven, which doesn't exist for me, of course, but you're Episcopalian.
In my loneliness, I learned to give complete and unquestioning faith to the people I love. I don't know if that includes you, but it included my daughter and your 4 children.
Sometimes I think I feel more at home outside the Earth's atmosphere.
Oh, wow. Me too.
Alrighty, well, Rhys, I know you've been waiting a while, like, to hear my opinion, so, you still interested? You want to know what I thought of this movie, Rhys?
I have been checking Letterboxd like a fucking addict, man, being like, when is Kane going to post his review? When is he going to post his review? I cannot wait.
I legitimately did not post anything because I just knew, like, Rhys you would be checking. So I was like, no, I'm saving it for the podcast like a good boy.
Okay, Kane, please tell me. I'm scratching up my skin here, man. There's fucking beetles underneath there that are moving around and crawling.
Little insects under you. You just want to tear your skin open. You just want to, if your skin feeling too tight, just take it off.
Just peel it off. Just peel it off if it's too thick.
Oh god, hopefully no one's tripping while listening to this.
Yeah. Okay, Kane, what did you think of Asteroid City?
I don't know if you're gonna hate me for this, Rhys, but I liked it. And
Okay.
that's really it. I wanted to love this movie, man. I really did, but I don't know. I didn't get. I definitely did not get what you seem to have been getting out of this movie, judging from your Letterboxd review. And I had fun watching it. I enjoyed myself, but I don't know. It's a similar thing with a lot of his like 2010s era of Wes Anderson films post Fantastic Mr. Fox, where I like it. I like the concept, but it just doesn't click with me. You know what I mean? And what I'm hoping for in this episode is I'm really excited to discuss this movie with you, because I'm hoping that this could maybe be like a Darjeeling Limited situation, where it's a film that I initially don't really like love, but as we conclude with this episode, I'll end up thinking about more and more, and maybe not even loving it, but having more of an appreciation for it the same way I do with Darjeeling Limited. You know what I mean?
Okay, that is going to be my intent for this episode, is that I want us to finish recording and for you to go, I like this movie a little bit more now.
Well, it's a tall order, Rhys, but I know that you've done it before. You did it with Darjeeling. You've probably done it with some other films that we've talked about. So here's hoping that that your streak keeps going.
Okay, and I'm ready to convince you.
Like I said, just to clarify, I do like this movie. I just don't really love it, and it didn't click the same way that it seemingly clicked with you. So I'm very interested to hear why and how it clicked with you.
I'm feeling with you, right, that would you give this like a 3.5 out of 5, like a 3 maybe?
I would probably be comfortable giving it like a strong 6 out of 10, honestly. So 3 stars.
Okay, very fair, very interesting, and I get you to the point that, like, my experience watching this film was, like, as I started, I was unsure, and then I was quite pessimistic, and I was like, I was in definitely, I hate a sort of post-Letterboxd era thing that my brain does when I watch films now, is that I'll almost be actively thinking, like, oh, yes, this is a 4, this is a 4.
Yeah, no, literally,
and then you get a little bit lost.
Thinking so much.
Oh, I hate that I do that. And then like it sort of bores you, or you get lost, and then they're like, oh no, nah, this is definitely a 2.5.
Oh,
and then something happens, and you're like 5. So
yeah, oh my lord, like every time I go to the toilet, I have a toilet break during a movie, I'll find myself like thinking over my thoughts halfway through the film. Like I did that with Asteroid City, where I was thinking about like, oh, this is probably like maybe like a 5 or like a 7, but then like I immediately like halfway through, I'm like, no, stop, just wait till the fucking film finishes to do your full concise thoughts on it, man.
I was doing that a little bit during this one until I sort of got lost into it, because after being pessimistic, I then got curious, and then I fell in love. For me, it was like it was definitely around the last 15 minutes that everything fell into place, and I had this moment of like photogeny, of just like pure bliss in this cinema. I had the biggest smile on my face. I had goosebumps over every element of my body, because everything clicked into place for me, and I was like, wow, that's so fucking like,
cool.
And I was just in fucking awe of this film.
Awesome.
But before I get into that later on, what I think this movie is about, the thing that made me so unsure about this at the start and quite pessimistic is that it felt the most like forcibly awkward than any other Wes Anderson film. Did you feel that too?
What do you mean by forcibly awkward? Like, I think I know what you're talking about, but can you clarify?
So I felt it was like, so every interaction, like especially at the start, there were just these pauses of like, of course, intentional awkward sort of silence between dialogue and interactions, but it felt the most like it was really trying to be awkward, like as in
right, yeah, okay, I all right, so I was definitely on this, because like that's what I was thinking you meant, so I'm glad that like we're on the same page on that.
It felt like, of course, extremely sickly sweet in its technical elements. Like it also really in the first 10 minutes tries to. But before Wes Anderson's name comes on screen, like, he's telling you, this is my movie. This is my movie.
God, yeah.
He's just throwing it all in your face. And like the amount of, you know how like of course Wes Anderson is known for his panning shots.
Yeah.
It was almost comical at the start of the film when they introduced the setting of Asteroid City, and it's just panning shot after panning shot after panning shot.
It's like he's kind of doing like a self-parody in a way.
Yeah, but that. I think that he is doing a self-parody in that.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I sort of got from this movie, is that he is almost deconstructing himself and his own style. And that's like the only explanation that I can find for a single shot that has 4 panning, like, pans in this single shot.
Yeah.
And, like, where it's just, it's so strange. And does, like, the whips, like, the sort of whip pans. There was so much of that densely packed in that would totally, like, I wonder what the experience would be like for people going into this film that are just like, oh yeah, I like Tom Hanks, I like Steve Carell, and there's a movie with both of them in it, and not having themselves prepared for a Wes film.
This is definitely like, I think same with French Dispatch and some of his later films, that this is like, if you're not a Wes Anderson film, if you like hate his style, I feel like you would, like, a lot of people would not get a lot out of this movie, because it is very like if you're a Wes Anderson fan and like, you know, his tricks and his tropes and all that, like, obviously you're gonna latch onto it. I feel like any kind of casual moviegoer might be a little bit thrown off by a lot of his Wes Anderson isms. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I had a coworker recently tell me why they are not the biggest fan of Wes Anderson, and it's because they think that he should be more accessible to mainstream audiences. And I totally do understand that, but my rebuttal for that is that we are surrounded by accessible cinema, right? And
yeah, definitely.
If there's someone that is not doing that and they're doing their own thing, then it's like, why the fuck should we be upset at that? Like, that's I think why so many people resonate with Wes's style, because it isn't that accessible. Where fucking, like, talking about Dial of Destiny, which is the worst Indiana Jones movie, is just accessibility to the max. It is made to be consumed, and that is it. This is made, like, Asteroid City to me feels like it's made to provoke you and make you feel uncomfortable and alienated, and that's why I really, really loved this one. But it took me a while to realize that I loved it, for that love to manifest, I thought.
Right. Like, I definitely agree with the whole sentiment, is that, like, yeah, we, like, especially like these days in terms of like our cinema landscape, there's there's no, I don't have an issue with like films being accessible, because, like, you know, like, everyone loves a good accessible like action movie, drama, blah 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 blah. But like, I feel like you need directors with their own style, their own kind of quirks and all that, or else, you know, every film's just gonna feel the same and all that. We need directors that, you know, are willing to get weird, experimental almost with the way they do shit. Could you imagine, hang on, like, here's, like, for example, with David Lynch, for example, he's a very kind of, he has his own kind of tricks and tropes in his filmmaking, and a lot of people are turned off by that. I've seen a couple of David Lynch films, and while I, you know, have a bit of a hard time getting into some of his films because of his style, I can still appreciate what he's doing, because he's doing something different, something that he wants to do. I think that's what works with Wes Anderson's films. Even if some of them I don't love nearly as much as some of his other work, I am just happy to see that there are still directors out there that are doing their own thing with all the freedom that they have, especially like in these days with, like, you know, the MCU and DC movies and all that, with, you know, it all being very safe direction-wise, where it can almost feel like directionless in a sense, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that a lot of those sort of big studio movies like that, like, the role of the director probably becomes less and less almost integral to it, and you find less and less of the director's identity coming into the film, because there's just too many moving parts there.
Yeah, like, there's too many cooks in the kitchen, because they have to adhere to, like, you know, to the higher ups, like at Disney or Warner Bros. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And because of that, there's a lot less control. Where that's something that it's very, like, you can sense and feel the control that Wes has over this film. So, like, one of the things that I think is quite alienating about the film quite early on is just so many narrative threads. Like, there are a lot of characters that do get established and different sort of, like, almost like boxes that seem to be opened. Like Pandora's boxes that seem to be opened of potential character arcs or threads that will go somewhere. And you really do wonder, like, where is this going to go? And there's there's so many, like, there's several different love stories in this, right?
Yeah.
Like there's Augie, who's the Jason Schwartzman character. He is
our boy.
Yeah, him and Scarlett Johansson's character. There's romance going on there. Both of their kids have a romance going on. There's also like the
Maya Hawke and the cowboy dude as well.
Yeah, them as well. And because there's, like, that's 3 integral romances, as well as then, obviously it's not a romance film, because there's also a million other moving parts. You really do wonder, where is this all going to go? When are these going to be answered? But, which, like, I was quite sort of uncomfortable by that. Sorry, pause for a sec. Bless me.
Bless you.
Bless me.
Bless you.
Oh, my God. I could feel that coming on for a bit, and I was like, oh, fuck, what am I going to do? Oh, I don't think that I've sneezed during one of these podcasts ever.
Yeah, I can't recall you sneezing at all. Yeah, no, it's a fucking first. Oh
my God, a first for Marathon Me. Lovely.
Oh, cute.
Okay, there's something uncomfortable about not seeming to get any resolution to these. But that's what it seems to sort of all be about, is that, like, it can still, something can still exist without a definite resolution to it. And like, did you feel a similar thing?
Like, for me, I felt it kind of, like, as the film kind of goes on, I kind of started to, like, you know, find myself opening up to the film a bit more. But initially, I found it very hard to kind of, like, really gravitate towards any kind of central relationship and all that, where it kind of just felt like it was there, but it wasn't really hooking me in a sense. And I think it mainly came down to maybe the presentation of, like, the like, how the characters are presented and acted, which, like, I kind of, like, after the film ended, I kind of get, because it feels almost, it feels like almost alienating how the way they talk, the way they act, how dry this movie can feel in terms of its like, pacing and dialogue, which I think is supposed to be the point, like, later on when we learn about the film's kind of message. I feel, I don't know, I think you might have kind of the same thoughts, but for me, it felt very kind of hard to, like, really latch onto it initially.
It's this consistency with Wes Anderson, right, where there's this distance that it creates, because it's very emotionless and very, almost like, it feels like the entire landscape is very medicinal, and what's that word where it's, like, cleaned to...
sterile?
Yes. It's, like, sterilized, the whole thing. So then it takes a little bit of the humanity away, which is almost like maybe why I think that I latch onto it so much, is that then it allows the writing to really, really come through. And because,
that's fair.
Because on the surface it's so sterile, and then it allows you to really, really engage with that, with that narrative that's going on. And a massive part of this movie, of course, is that this is a Wes Anderson film with aliens. There's...
Yes.
Oh, yeah. There's this, like, randomly at one point, without any warning, it feels like, aliens... Well, and one particular lanky alien man lands down and steals a meteor, asteroid, and then takes it up into their spaceship... when there's some sort of, like, lunar eclipse that's going on.
Yeah.
And the entire city of Asteroid City then are shocked to sort of, like, their whole world is tipped upside down when they witness this alien out of nowhere. And And this, to me, is one of the many magical moments of whimsy and wonder of this film. Like, when the alien comes out of nowhere, there's a green dot that comes into the vision of everyone.
Oh yeah, that was pretty cool presentation-wise.
You don't know what's happening, and then the music just has this drop of this sort of like droning sound, and then this awkward sort of, it's really comedic in the way that the alien comes down and is as awkward as everyone else. Like,
yeah, and also it's just like the way it looks as well, because you got some of Wes Anderson's patented like kind of like just random stop motion inserted into the movie.
Yeah,
I got a bit of a giggle out of the alien design, because like, did you ever watch the show Smiling Friends, Rhys?
No, I didn't.
Oh, because the second I saw it, I just immediately thought that is something that would have been in fucking Smiling Friends. I was having a bit of a giggle on that, and I think that is definitely like one of the scenes that really like stands out to me. Is like, yeah, the whole like alien fucking landing and all that, just how like dry and how like almost kind of awkward it is. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally. And like that is like the sort of that's the end of the first act, right? Where then like the alien ignites the curiosity of everyone in this town. People get scared, excited, protective, despite the alien not really doing anything. And I don't know if you thought about it in this way, but what a fascinating time for Wes Anderson to release a film about aliens, or like with aliens in there.
Oh, yeah, true.
At this time where we just recently, so supposedly aliens have been confirmed by the US government and the existence of them.
Aliens confirmed.
Yeah, exactly.
Illuminati confirmed.
I was chatting with our friend Tyler last night about this, because we sort of like we talked a little bit about this alien thing, and since I heard about these announcements, I've found it fascinating, because it's one of those things that it's like, government says aliens exist. How does that, like, what can we do with that information then? Firstly, I feel like that, how is that more, like, reliable than, they're still, the government saying this, it's actually just, like, a person representing the government is saying this. It's still a person that's saying it. Like, I don't think I believe in aliens anymore after hearing that announcement than beforehand. And
no, I'm the same here. I need to see one smoking a blunt before I, make my proper definitive assumptions on whether they exist or not. I need to see one voiced by Seth Rogen smoking a blunt.
I was just about to say that. I need to see Paul in the flesh and before I believe in aliens.
This has been a very alien-themed month so far, since, obviously, got the government confirming aliens, Asteroid City coming out with alien, content, and then also, when I was up in Sydney with Rhys, we ended up watching Paul with Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, and Seth Rogen. Why the fuck did we watch Paul, by the way, Rhys?
I think Jacob got an itching to watch Paul, and it was fucking awful.
Fucking movies, man. Like, I love that. It's been a week. We're still fucking talking about how much we just do not like Paul. Because I didn't care for it either. I don't hate it, but it was just so fucking forgettable.
I was surprised by how much I didn't like it, and I think it was because most of the people that when we were watching it were a little bit on some of the substances that Paul takes during this, and it wasn't even fun when high. Like, it was just fucking boring, and like so little happens. But anyway, sorry, I'm trying to get to a point here that I find really fascinating. Is like,
right, go on.
What power does it actually lend the claim by the government saying that aliens exist? The joke that I made yesterday to Tyler is like I'm just imagining this headline: Government says red doesn't exist. Do we stop seeing red at that point? Like, what means do the government have to overrule and designate what is truth and what's not? If the government says something, how does that then constitute it as then it is truth? Like, and also,
that's a good point.
With us hearing this thing about the aliens, what can we? Yeah, we can't do anything about that, and that is so much what happens in this film is that it's a very similar effect when the real alien confirmation happens, that it puts everyone's lives on their head, but it doesn't change it. Like, as in, it actually affects their lives in no way. Has it clarified anything? It's clarified that aliens exist, but like, what? I've never in my life made a decision that has been directly informed by my belief that aliens have not been proven yet. So no actions will probably be influenced by that they have. Like, it is a weird sort of thing that these people, it's almost like, I think that everyone's looking for answers, right? In their life, and this alien confirmation thing is almost like a pseudo answer to something. But what can we actually do with this answer? Nothing.
Yeah, it's literally just, okay, aliens are real, life, like, and then it's just life goes on kind of thing. Like, that's how I'm feeling, at least, with this whole fucking confirmation. Obviously not as eloquently put as you put it, but yeah. It's like, we can't do anything about it.
Even down to the point that, just imagine we see on TV, Joe Biden is on stage, and he's like, everyone, I have someone I would like to introduce you to. And then an alien Paul walks on stage with him, they shake hands. We all see this, the entire world sees this, then the alien goes back behind, like, backstage, and Joe Biden goes, any questions? And then the world goes, what can we do with that? Will it make me quit my job? Will it make me move somewhere? Like, it won't do anything for our actual lives. Even though that I feel like a lot of people feel like that getting some sort of answer is going to shift it. Shift it. And that ties in a lot for me with what I got from this film overall. For me, the entire film started to make sense and come together in the last 15 minutes when Augie breaks character and exit the set. Everything clicked in that point. All in the concept that Augie doesn't get the play yet, because there's this strange sort of like quadruple layer of narrative going on, because the movie is actually a representation of a TV show about the making and writing of a play in the film, and we see that play like go along. And Augie breaks character, exits the scene when the alien comes back, and yeah, he says that he doesn't get the play yet, and Jeff Goldblum pops up to tell him that it's a metaphor, but he hasn't figured out what the metaphor is yet. This is the metaphor, is that he doesn't get it, no one gets it, and that's okay. The question that I always ask when watching a movie is like, what is this movie about? And I ask that because I ask that about life. What is my life about? What is the purpose of doing this? And everyone else, I think, does that on their own sort of way as well. We're always looking for answers for something. A definitive answer that will make everything okay. And Augie, by not having this answer, he approaches the director of the play and is like, I don't get it yet. I don't get this character. Am I this character properly? And the director tells him that no matter, like, he thinks that he does get it, but even if he doesn't, just keep on playing the character because he's doing it well. He is doing it fine. And that's our lives, man. We're just going on in our lives, not really knowing who the fuck we are, what these answers are, but it's just up to us to keep on playing this character because it doesn't really matter that much. The constant desire to look for answers and a point is always looked for when examining art, but also examining our lives, and we are prone to think that it's a waste if we don't have a definable point. But in life, we never do get answers. We exist in autopilot, almost playing a character of some sort. Where does this character end, and then where do you start? And Augie is a character that is played by a fictional actor who is played by Jason Schwartzman in this film. And we are having to see them as these three different characters. But where do any of those characters begin and end? There is no answer to that. There is no explanation to that. We just have to go along and and find something in it that resonates to us. There's no explanation for the aliens in this film, like as in they don't tell you why they're there really. There's no explanations for a lot of the things in this film, but it really does hone in on the point that it doesn't matter that there's no explanation there. The characters in this movie finish the story with more questions than they had at the beginning of the movie. And this is almost antithetical to how we see storytelling, I think, right? We'll watch a film or a TV show looking for the answers that it establishes. And that's so... I think that's almost the comfort that we'll find in media, because that is so different to life. We don't get these answers. As we go along through life, we get more questions than actually answers to them all. And it's because the answers sometimes doesn't fucking matter. Woodrow, which is
Augie's son.
Augie's son. He places there's this point in the film where like he makes this invention that can project different images and symbols on the moon, and there's almost it's made like a little sub conflict that what is with that responsibility, what do you put on the moon? Like what is the answer going to be? And it almost, to me, I think it sets up and establishes that the answer is going to be something quite important and profound, and like it's going to be a big deal. But eventually, what he does is that he just places this childish symbol of love of him and his like love interest on the moon in those final moments, because what is the fucking point of that? Why does it matter what you put on the moon? It doesn't. But for them in that moment, it does for them, right? It's not going to make any sense to anyone else on Earth, but it doesn't fucking matter because it means something to them. It is in this ambiguity and not having answers that is the answer to this film. And just because we don't have answers doesn't mean that it's all pointless. And that's why I fucking love Asteroid City.
Oh, fucking hell, man. I knew you were gonna put it beautifully, but like, fucking hell, dude. I love listening to that, honestly. And I'm sure our viewers gonna love listening to that as well. Wow.
It probably needs a few edits, but man, I was just in euphoric bliss in these last 15 minutes as the pieces were connecting, and it was all when Augie breaks character. And it's beautifully existential and romantic about it all. And that was one of those moments where I'm like, this is why I like Wes Anderson. This is why I'm into, like, it's his fucking writing that just pierces me in the heart and the brain. And like, all of that, like, all of his aesthetic shit could be sidelined, for all that I care, because it's this very particular, specific story that he is trying to tell that I just grabbed onto so much.
Hell yeah, man. Like, I think what I'm going to come away with, what I'm going to take away from this movie is that I think this, like, as I said earlier, it's similar with Darjeeling Limited, that I feel like this is going to be a movie that, like, I still at the moment may not love the movie entirely, but I think the message of this movie is fucking brilliant. I may not love it, but it is a message that is very, like, especially like after like the way that you put it, because like I got the message, but like I needed to like kind of hear kind of like a different, like, someone else's perspective on it, so I could kind of have it more formed and grown in my head and all that. And the way that you put it gives me a lot more of a deeper appreciation for this movie, similar to that of Darjeeling Limited and a lot of Wes Anderson's other films that I may not be as in love with. You know what I mean?
That probably the 5 minutes after Augie leaves the set in the film was the most active my brain has been in a very, very long time. Like, as in just like putting the corkboard, like the different pins on the corkboard together to sort of make sense and try and understand this, and getting it was so satisfying, and it almost to the detriment of like post the dialogue between Augie and the the director when he goes out to talk to Margot Robbie. That monologue or that dialogue scene, I was almost checked out for because my brain was being too active putting the pieces together that I just gotten. So
yeah,
I think that I could rewatch this film already, and I probably will go see it again in theaters before it leaves to see if I can pick up anything else. And especially from like that dialogue scene with Margot Robbie at the end, where like that, I think from what I've sort of read online and seen, is that is also a very like dense moment of pretty much like exposition explaining what the film is about.
Yeah, like I definitely, I'm on the same boat as you, where I feel like I not only want to, but I feel like I need to rewatch this movie, especially after like recording this episode, just to see, like, just to really just like get like now that I've seen it, that way I can like at least like fully analyze it in a sense, you know what I mean? Like really like try to like latch my claws into this movie and really try to pick it apart the way that you have, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. And there's also, there would be so many details early on in the film that I wouldn't have that I wouldn't have picked up on because I haven't figured out what it's trying to say yet. That like as the film opens with Bryan Cranston saying, "Asteroid City does not exist. It is an imaginary drama created expressly for this broadcast. The characters are fictional, the text hypothetical, the events are," I cannot read that word, apocryphal fabrication, but together they present an authentic account of the inner workings of a modern theatrical production. This is such a microcosm of the film, is that it's like, this is not a real thing, so it doesn't have to have answers. It doesn't have to have a direct point that is, like, you know, designated in stone. It is all hypothetical, but together they present an authentic account of the inner workings of a modern theatrical production, but it does have truth in it. There is truth in this without having any answers, without telling you any answers. It's up to you to find the truth, though, and like pretty much saying that that's okay is just like, it almost feels a little bit, almost like a rebuttal of a film to like a lot of critiques of Wes Anderson's films of like, oh, you didn't get it, or you didn't know, like you couldn't find what the answers is. Maybe it is that this isn't for you. Maybe you just didn't find it here. It's not that it shouldn't exist or is a bad product, which is almost, it's a critique on criticism. It's like, I think that there is probably so much more in this film as well that, of course, we are both going to miss out on because we're coming from a very particular perspective. And this is something that I think was created for a lot of different perspectives to get different things from it. And that impresses me greatly.
Jesus Christ, I need to fucking rewatch this movie.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, I reckon, in this. And
oh my God, yeah.
And and just during this, there's so much like grandiose weight to everything that happens in these last 15 to 20 minutes, I believe. Like, every line drops like a bomb, I feel, where it just like, there's so much to everything. To every line of dialogue, there's so much in there. And man, another moment where I was just in this euphoric sort of mental state was, you can't wake up if you don't fall asleep. You can't wake up if you don't fall asleep. And then gradually, all these different characters just start chanting, you can't wake up if you don't fall asleep. Kane, do you like, did you get anything from this?
I actually kind of was a bit lost during that scene. I was literally about to ask, like, what, because I feel like I didn't really get it, honestly, like that whole segment. I was like, this is, they're saying something. I know they are. I can't pinpoint what the message is. So, like, what did you get out of that?
I think that this line is very, very intentionally ambiguous for that everyone will have a different answer as to what that actually means. Because it asks people, what does it mean to be awake? What does it mean to fall asleep? What are these, like, I think that it's very open, like, open-ended, and it took me a lot of digging deep to understand, to get my own interpretation. And I think that what it pretty much means is that you cannot live if you aren't willing to be ignorant. Like, as in, it's this sort of thing that it's like, it almost requires, in my mind, my interpretation, that it almost requires you to accept the fact that you're not going to have answers to live a satisfying life, to live a life that is undeniably yours, I believe. And this got me thinking a lot about, like, conspiracy theories. Like, as in, it's a thing that frustrates me a lot about hardcore conspiracy theorists and makes me feel a lot of sympathy for them, is that I feel like people will commit their entire lives to some of these open-ended conspiracy theories in the guise that at least they know the truth. But it might tear their life apart in the process. Like, it's, as a little bit of an anecdote, I won't say who this person is, but we went to a party recently where the uncle of a friend of ours just went on, like, they spoke to me about all these conspiracy theories that they believe in. It was very interesting, and I was very happy to hear their perspective on all these things. But they got to, eventually they told me that they had quit their, they had quit their job, and they didn't have a job, and they weren't working as a protest to the government and the way that the whole, like, that society is structured. They have quit their job because of that. And they are actively omitting themselves from a lot of like traditionally social activities and becoming actively antisocial as a protest for all these conspiracy theories and answers and lies that we've been told by the government. And here, like, he's explaining to me how empowering that is, though, that, like, knowledge is power, and that knowing that, like, he is more than happy to sacrifice doing a lot of things that normal human lives are able to do, having a job, having a lot of meaningful relationships. He's happy to sacrifice that, knowing that he knows the truth. And from that interaction, I very quickly could work out that for me, that would not be worth it. I am more than happy to be ignorant in that situation if I can still be fulfilled. If, like, because what, like, he went on about a lot of the moon landing is unreal and Bush did 9/11 sort of stuff. And
some of the classics,
classic conspiracy theory stuff. But what the fuck can me quitting my job and not and like deciding to not go to the supermarket anymore, what can that do about Bush doing 9/11? What can that do about them fucking telling us the truth about the moon landing? I cannot weigh on this hedonic calculus how that could possibly be worth it for the outcome that it would bring. And this ultimately, how that ties into this movie is that this movie got me really thinking about the concept of truth and what it actually means to me, truth, and how that is separate to facts and reality and what is happening in reality, and almost being quite happy and content with with accepting my own truth but being ignorant to the facts.
Nice. No, that's fucking Jesus Christ, man. You're coming out with both fucking guns loaded, man. This episode. That's pretty much. I feel exhausted. I feel exhausted talking about that. That was a lot. I knew going in that, like, you know, that because, like, I had some stuff to say, but it was more so just like, you know, like me kind of not getting it and, like, enjoying it but not loving it and all that. And I knew for a fact that, like, this was going to be like a Rhys starring episode, because, like, fucking hell, especially after reading your Letterboxd review, I'm like, okay, this man has something to say. All right, so Rhys texted me, like, because we watched this on the same night, like, by sheer coincidence, I think.
Oh no, so it was opening night. I reckon same time. That's coincidental. We both watched. Did you get in there at like 6:30?
Yes.
Yeah, I had a 6:30 session too.
Yeah, and, like, the second I leave and hop on the tram, I get a text from Rhys being like, just saw Asteroid City, and I have some thoughts. And for a split second, I'm thinking, oh shit, does Rhys I was thinking, does Rhys hate this movie? I it's Wes Anderson, and like that's like our bread and butter and all that. I knew, you know, the logical part of me is gonna be like, no fucking way, Rhys of all people is gonna hate this movie. But for a split second, I'm thinking, oh fuck, does he actually hate this movie? And then obviously my theory was broken when I saw your Letterboxd review, and I'm like, holy fucking shit. Okay, it is the complete opposite of what I assumed. Wow.
I'm just in adoration of this.
Can I ask, where would you put this on your ranking, Rhys?
I was going to ask you the same thing. So this would be potentially, maybe like, as much as I've been saying that I love this because I really like Wes Anderson, it's probably number 3 or number 4.
Okay,
because
all right, nice. So Darjeeling's still your number 1, right?
Darjeeling's still number 1, and then Rushmore number 2, and then this is maybe 3.
Okay.
From memory, if my memory serves me right, I think that my 3rd was Grand Budapest Hotel.
Interesting.
Recently, the more that I think about Grand Budapest Hotel, I really adore that film as well, and that's probably like that's probably the most dense, pure Wes Anderson film in the realm of like style to substance ratio, and then also his best comedy, like as in just like, man, when I think of that film, I think of his gags and how fucking perfect they are there. So it's maybe tied for me with Grand Budapest Hotel.
Interesting.
How about you? I'm curious.
For me, this would probably be like still like somewhat like the high bottom of my list, just because like my personal highs for Wes Anderson are like way too big to beat, and I do like this movie, and like as this episode is going on, I've got a lot more of an appreciation for it. But I would say I think I would be comfortable placing this above certain films like French Dispatch, Bottle Rocket, Isle of Dogs. Like I'd probably say like it's probably like near, like maybe bottom middle of the list with I think. What do you call it? With Darjeeling, I think still being like up above it, because Darjeeling, I just think is a film that I just keep finding myself thinking about more and more and more. But who's to say that it won't be the same for Asteroid City? I have been thinking about it since Thursday night, so give it some time, give it another rewatch. It could potentially maybe go up really high, or maybe it won't move at all, but it will still be a film that is still like on my brain. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, it's no Life Aquatic. Like your whole thoughts and feelings on like films like on Asteroid City and Grand Budapest, that's me with Life Aquatic. Like I get such a rich experience out of that film.
Yeah, I get you. I feel like that the interesting thing, though, is with these films is that rewatches really can change it. And we...
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And we know that from experience, from Darjeeling going from my bottom of the list to my number 1.
Yeah.
So I think Asteroid City, we should... Maybe a year from now, we post an update podcast of a year in the future, us rewatching it, us becoming a little bit more mature over that time, and having a year of thinking about it as well, because
that'd be interesting to do. I'd be low-key kind of keen for that,
because the reception of this film, it seems, is very much the most abundant opinion that I have heard is very similar to yours, where it's quite nice, but it's a little bit hollow, and it's a pretty like sort of style over substance sort of thing. But then the people that it's really resonating with and the message really, really seems to like grip onto, then those people are loving it.
Yeah, right.
So that seems to be the general sort of opinion, and I'm interested to see how history sort of treats it. If in a year or so, if thinking on it and potentially people discussing it more, because it is going to be a movie that people talk about. It is...
No, definitely.
Like, this will
definitely be a movie that like you and I will probably talk about like every now and again.
This is a film that most people are going to go with, like, see it with another person or a few people, and then go out for dinner and then chat the entire time about this movie. Like, because there's so much to unpack there. And I felt like I was bursting on Thursday night not being able to talk to anyone about this movie yet because I didn't know anyone that had seen it. You were the only person that I knew that had seen it, and we were waiting for this right now to come about.
Yeah.
And
the curse of having a podcast.
I know.
Curse of having a film podcast.
And also, like, as a bit of a symbol of like just how much there is to unpack here, is that like this massive cast, like we haven't even touched on, and I feel like that there's no point because it's like, what can we really say about it other than that it's just fucking massive?
I have one thing to say. There was no Owen Wilson. Worst movie ever.
I was just about to say, none of the Wilson brothers.
No Wilson brothers, no Bill Murray, although I don't think Bill Murray is going to be in this film given allegations being thrown at him. I think that's been a thing for a while now.
Is this...
I don't know. I think there's been like allegations thrown at him for like him being like a creep or some shit. Don't quote me on that, but that's what I've read, and I remember being like, oh no, fuck's sake.
No. Well,
but you know what? There's no Wilson brothers. But I one thing that I was very excited about going into this movie was the fact that our boy Jason Schwartzman has another starring role in a Wes Anderson film.
Oh.
Very happy to see that.
And how
always lovely seeing that boy. It's been a good year for him as well. You got him in this. You got him as the Spot in Spider-Verse. Like fucking hell.
Oh my god! Probably like gonna be two of the most like reviewed movies on Letterboxd from this year. He's a big part of it.
Let's fucking go, man. The Jason Schwartzman Renaissance. Yeah, fuck yeah.
And it definitely is worth highlighting how sort of beautiful it is having, like, Jason Schwartzman, who having his first, like, breakout role in a Wes Anderson movie as a teenager, is able to now play a father figure to a child that is probably around the same age as how he would have been when in Rushmore.
Yeah.
And
that's cool as shit.
It's a nice passing of the torch, and it's nice when the actor can grow up and then adapt and grow into new roles and can assume new personas. It's very, very cool, and it's lovely to see that Wes Anderson still does have that loyalty with his talent.
Oh, hell yeah.
Do you have any closing thoughts? I think I might finish it with my Letterboxd review.
Oh yeah, too easy. I think my closing thoughts I've already stated. Like I have phrases that I've already stated in this episode where that this is a film that I am very, very interested in rewatching, unpacking, and a film that I really, really want to see this film the way that people like you see this film, Rhys, because I feel like if I give it just that little bit more time, this could be something that resonates me so much more than it is slowly resonating with me already.
Totally, man. Totally. Maybe it's worth a rewatch. Maybe it's worth seeing it with someone else.
Definitely. Hell, even like, because I don't know if Nicholas has seen it yet, but this would be a very interesting thing to discuss with him as well, because I feel like he'd have probably a lot of thoughts about this film.
I've been getting on Hinge lately and been chatting with some people on Hinge. Maybe I might take someone on a Hinge date to see Asteroid City.
Oh my god! Well, let's hope you pick someone like-minded in terms of, like, you know, the enjoyment of film, because I feel like any kind of just novice to Wes Anderson's work, you take them to that movie, they could end up hating it. But hey, it's 50-50, so you never know. It's a flip of a coin.
It'll really test them if they can palate my wankiness and my
yes, yeah, beautiful.
And before we leave, this is Rhys Marks's Letterboxd review for Asteroid City.
nice fucking plug right there.
Asteroid City almost intimidates with its sickly sweet style and oversaturation, fooling you into thinking there is nothing of substance until Wes Anderson tells you he hasn't figured out the metaphor yet, resulting in a dense and satisfying payoff that reminds you that being alienated is what it's all about. Have a lovely night, everyone. And don't forget to check out our Facebook page at MarathonMeOfficial, all one word, and our Instagram, MarathonMe_official, to keep up to date on the podcast. And hey, if you want to get into contact with us, email us at marathonmepodc, yes, the letter C, @gmail.com. Like a podcast without the ask.